At the end of the day, the way that we measure the success or failure of our teams is not by the number of criminals that are prosecuted, not by the number of victims that are restored. It's really about how many people we prevent from ever being victimized in the first place. We got our third round of victimization rate studies back, and victimization rates are dropping faster and bigger than we ever expected that they would. My name is Rudy, and I'm the founder and CEO of Redeem International. And we are very excited to release the results of our most recent round of impact measurements. And those results showed us that our teams are driving down land grabbing victimization rates by anywhere from 38 to 86% in their first 2 years of deployment. And what that means is that in the first 2 years that we have data to measure, our teams have already prevented over 30,000 land grabbing abuses from ever occurring, and provided a measurably safer environment for over 1 million widows and orphans in the 4 project areas that we were able to measure. But before we dive into the details of the study and the details of the numbers, I know that there are some people here that have been with us for a very long time, and there are others who might be completely new to Redeem and new to our work. And so I'm going to take a quick step back and give everybody a little context around what it is that we do here at Redeem and why we do it before we talk about how it's impacting the lives of others. First thing that you need to know about us is that our mission at Redeem is to protect the homes and land of the world's most vulnerable widows and orphans. A family's land in rural Africa is their primary source of food. It's their primary source of shelter, security, income, savings, and standing in the community. It really is the key to survival for these women and children. And at the same time, for vulnerable women and children who've lost their husband or their father, unfortunately, land is also a highly coveted asset. Land owned by a widow or an orphan routinely attracts the attention of land grabbers. And those land grabbers use violence, fraud, and intimidation to drive these families from the homes that they live in and the land that they depend on for survival. By far, the best way to change the risk-reward calculation for somebody who's willing to steal land from a widow or an orphan is to enforce the law, restoring the victim to their home, prosecuting the criminal for the crime, and broadcasting the results to anybody who would think about stealing land from a woman or a child. Well, we basically exist to test whether that's true or not. And every time we put a land grabber behind bars, what we're saying to the community is, actually, it's a really risky proposition. You might want to reconsider. And we spent the last 5 years, we've been saying, hey, look, law enforcement leads to deterrence. Deterrence leads to safety, and safety leads to prosperity. And people are like, yeah, that's great. No, we're like, no, really, like if we do this thing, it's going to change the world for these women and children, and they're going to be remarkably safer than they were. 5 years of just being like, restore victims, prosecute criminals, broadcast results, restore victims, prosecute criminals, broadcast results. It's going to work. It's going to work. And then getting the results back and being like, it worked 10 times better than we expected it to. What we expected over the course of that 6 years is that in year 1, we would do some cases and maybe see victimization rates drop by maybe 1%. In the second year, maybe by 5%. Third year, 15%. 30, 40, 50% by the end of 6 years. And so we wanted to set that out. And so our goal was that we wanted to deploy teams to 10 locations around the country. Our first team we launched in Gulu in 2020. A year later, we launched a team in Wakiso, then another team in Uganda, Mbale, Arua, Soroti, Hoima, Mubende, and in June, we launched team number 10 in Tororo. And so far, those teams have been able to do everything that we've asked them to do. We designed our intervention model with 12 local justice professionals, attorneys, investigators, social workers, community relations, security, deployed for a period of about 6 years each. And as we have launched, these teams have prosecuted 635 land grabbers for their crimes and seen 2,400 women and children restored to their land because of their direct intervention. Now, while our teams were out intervening directly in individual cases, we also deployed a data gathering team. And that data gathering team was charged with measuring how does the work that we do change victimization rates in the places in which we operate. So what we were able to do is we were able to create a stock flow model, a mathematical model using the demographic data from our project area specifically, and be able to estimate how many people would have been fallen victim to land grabbing had victimization rates remained the same. And then we were able to run a second model of the same data, except changing the one independent variable, which is having victimization rates change by what we measured the change to be. We took our first measurements in 2023 and our first comparison measurements in 2024. And when we got the results back in 2024, they actually were so much greater than what we expected that, much to my fundraising team's chagrin, we decided not to publish them. We wanted to be sure that there wasn't some anomaly out there or noise in the data or something that was giving us a false positive that was showing that victimization rates were dramatically dropping everywhere that we were doing casework. But then in August of this year, we got our results back from our most recent round of measurements. And the results of that measurement were even better than they had been the year before. We did not see an average of a 1% drop in year one. We saw an average drop of 34% in the first year of operations. We didn't see it drop by 5% in year two. We saw an average drop of 37% in the second year. And we didn't see an average drop of 15% in year three. Our team that has gone 3 years, the Gulu team, has already seen a victimization rate drop of over 51%. And what's even better than the fact that we're seeing great averages, we're actually seeing it in every single place that we operate. In Wakiso, in its second year of operations, victimization rates are down by 38%. In Gulu, in its third year of operations, victimization rates are down 51%. In Mbale, in its very first year of operations, victimization rates are down 75%. And in Uganda, in its second year of operations, victimization rates are down 86%. Now, when we started this whole thing, we were hoping for a 50 to 80% victimization rate drop in 6 years. We're seeing an 86% drop in 2 years. These drops in victimization rates mean that over 1 million widows and orphans are now living in a measurably safer environment. And over $30 million worth of land is safe and secure in the hands of these women and children who are the rightful, lawful owners of this land, rather than in the hands of those men that were stealing it from them. But at the end of the day, we measure the success or failure of each of our teams by the number of land-grabbing abuses that they prevent. And we are proud to say that as of 2023, our teams have already prevented the abuse of over 30,000 widows and orphans. That is 30,000 women and children who would have fallen victim to land grabbers in the absence of our intervention, but avoided that fate because of the deterrent impact of our team's work. To put that number into perspective, that's 1.5 times the maximum capacity of Madison Square Garden. So if you asked every single person who avoided land-grabbing victimization to squeeze into Madison Square Garden, you would fill every seat in the house, and there would still be 10,000 women and children waiting to get inside. And our widow's ticket only costs our donors about a third of what a ticket to get to the Knicks game would cost. In 2023, we spent just over $2.7 million and completely changed the lives of just under 22,000 women and children, which works out to a full freight cost of only $126 per beneficiary. We are incredibly excited about these results and excited about what it means for what's next for us. When I look at these numbers, I see a problem that is so commonplace and so big that it feels immovable. And then I look at these numbers and I see that for the investment of $1 million, you can change the safety equation for 225,000 women and children. And suddenly that problem that seemed immovable and impossible isn't. When you can knock out 86% of a problem in 2 years, you know you have stumbled onto something really, really effective. And in some ways, the truth is, I feel I'm really excited about it. But I would tell you that it almost feels heavy because I feel like we've stumbled onto the formula for Coke. Or we've stumbled on to the cure for cancer. And we have a responsibility to manufacture that cure as fast as we can manufacture it and as big as we can possibly manufacture it. And so I'm excited to do that. And that, I guess, kind of pivots into where we're going next. Is what is next for us is we want to push the advantage that we see in the data. And that really, for us, looks like 4 things. 1, we want to continue executing our model in all 10 of our Ugandan project areas. We want to drive down victimization rates for over 2.7 million widows and orphans that live in the 10 project areas that we're serving right now. 2nd, we're going to be winding down our first project area in the fall next year. Gulu will reach its 6-year birthday next fall. And we want to start the process of handing responsibility back to our government partners. And so that'll involve piloting a number of things for us. The third thing we want to do is we want to launch a pilot program in Zambia, testing whether our intervention model will have similar results in a different context. Because the reality is you could throw a dart at Africa and you can find this problem. And then finally, we want to build out the infrastructure that we need to be prepared for multi-country expansion. Like I said earlier, I feel overjoyed at the results that we're seeing, but I also feel a weight of responsibility. And to me, what that tells me is that we need to be building out the machine so that we can start manufacturing the cure, so that more women and children can survive the death of their husband and can actually live and flourish after he's passed away. And so that's what's next for us, is we are looking for partners to help us in those 4 things: continue executing the model, pilot our post-intervention sustainability plan, launch a pilot program in Zambia, and build out our infrastructure. So thank you all for taking the time to learn about our work and the impact that it's having. The formula works.